Today's video is sponsored by Ian's Display Accessories, the best figure stands for your retro G.I. Joe and Star Wars, as well as your modern G.I. Joe and Star Wars. And our friends at TGC Customs. Hey, upgrade and utilize 6-inch scale weapons for your classified figures, shipping nationwide. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New202. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu. Are you? Well, I was actually in the middle of doing a Crimson Guard video when I just so happened to, hey, let's just go stop at Target. And sure enough, like a lot of people in the Facebook groups have pointed out, we got the Tiger Force Duke with the Ram motorcycle and Bazooka. Before I dive into this, let's talk about this fucking bullshit experience that's been dealing with Target. I mentioned in another video how a lot of these people pre-ordered and then they were sending like messages at like 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, whether you wanted to cancel your order or not. And a lot of people didn't see it, including me, and order got canceled. And then all of a sudden it's like, the green light. I think that's happened with the what was it? The Python Patrol. Yeah. So, but again, like a lot of Targets, including mine here in Vero Beach, Florida, still has Python Patrol and Python bats. I'm waiting for them to go in clearance because I live in Bumblefuck, Florida, where there's not too many people, and I don't foresee them being scooped up. But if there's like less than that, I mean, maybe like few of them, then there is a couple other guys I know that will scoop them up in my area. But still, it's like ridiculous. So, especially Outback. Outback was such a big thing, and sure enough, he was sitting there, and there's still like 5 of them there on mine. I've seen some other people post across the thing. So, is the Cobra Trooper an officer? Are they going to be the same deal? Who knows? I mean, I've seen Recondo at some stores. I didn't see him in my store. So I didn't pick up Recondo. But hey, Tiger Force. I mean, again, these are going to be either, I think in the case of Outback, they're going to make a regular version. The Tiger Force comes out first. The same thing with Bazooka. The Tiger Force came out first and the regular figure is coming out later. It's kind of like the flip-flop from the retro line. So I think that's interesting that they're doing that. I guess, what have you. But Tiger Force, again, coming out in like 1988, it was a chance for a lot of people to get 1984, 1985 figures that they missed on, like characters like Duke, Bazooka, Flint. Because I think like there's a 4-year for each the fan base. Like if I look at it, like there's the guys that are like 82 to 87 or around 85. So those were the peak of that group, and then there's another group that came after. Like there's the 2 groups that overlap the Sunbow series and stuff like that. So anyway, we're going to take a look at these figures, and here we go. Alrighty, so here we go. Once again, I'm bringing out my Tiger Force cast of characters for this video. So we're going to look at Tiger Force Duke and Bazooka. And again, that's to go with the recently issued Tiger Force Outback. So Tiger Force Outback Classified is getting some reinforcements. So like I said, the Target thing is kind of a pain in the ass, but if you're able to pick up these figures, again, like I said, Tiger Force coming out in 1988 was a chance for those that weren't around in 1984, 1985 specifically, when most of these characters were originally issued. It was their chance to get classic characters like Duke, Flint, Gung Ho one more time in their original molding but now with these new Tiger Force colors. Now, I'm not a big fan, like I've mentioned in the previous videos, of these units that have been branched off in the G.I. Joe, but Tiger Force, because of the fact that it's fucking tigers, I love Tiger Force. You know, the vehicles, especially, you were able to get a Rattler in Tiger Force Deco, a Ferret in Tiger Force Deco. So this offering of a Ram, you know, obviously is, they never offered a Ram Tiger Force motorcycle. So that's kind of interesting, the fact that they're doing that. Remember, when this scale 6-inch, you're really limited as far as vehicles, even though G.I. Joe essentially was created because the real money was in vehicles, not in these action figures. So that's why Hasbro was pushing buy vehicles, so these toys could be in the child's plaything. But I love these Tiger Force color schemes. Flint is my favorite. I mean, I've always said that out of all the characters, Flint is more John Wayne-like, hence Duke, you know, because John Wayne's nickname was the Duke, for any of you millennials or younger. I think Flint, you know, he was more like a John Wayne-esque character than Duke himself. I'm not a big Duke fan, but it's funny because of my covering of the comics and everything. Whenever I think of Duke, I think of Diana Davis, IDW lead G.I. Joe researcher. She is one of the top 2 or 3 people that knows any historical thing about G.I. Joe. Yes, and I think that's her knowledge is so good. She's the biggest Duke fan. So now, whenever I think of Duke, I think of Diana Davis, and you know, I appreciate her contributions to G.I. Joe. So this is just a thank you, Diana, for all that you've done for this G.I. Joe, for keeping it alive. I know with IDW's not getting the license, that's one of the biggest crimes in my opinion. But nonetheless, you are definitely appreciated for all your contributions to G.I. Joe. So here we go. We're looking at the box art for these, front and center. Alrighty, so let's start off with Duke. First, they're using the new non-plastic. Let's take a look at the back. Flip it around. Again, the plastic-free box is it's weird though, because we already just saw that Bazooka and the Python Patrol, they didn't have that. They had the plastic windows, but for this one, this is the plastic-free box art. So I could imagine when we open this up, there's going to be a shitload of cardboard in it. So get ready for that. But we're going to compare Duke and the Tiger Force Duke, since I have it, as far as how close they got to it, as well as his regular classified offering. So we're going to take a look at that. Number 40, I think the Baroness was 41. So when they offered the Baroness and her crazy motorcycle that everybody kind of chucked, threw away when they got the Baroness. But again, look at that. That's a nice patriotic box art, if I don't say so myself. I mean, that's all American right there. You know, blonde hair, blue-eyed, you know. I think that's pretty cool. So here we go. Let's open this bad boy up and take a look at Duke. So right out of the box, we have Duke and the Ram motorcycle. And of course, the locker that has been included with these plastic-free offerings from Hasbro. And now let's free or liberate Duke from his bindings. Okay, so first thing is first, since this is a reissue of an existing vehicle that we've gotten, we're going to compare the Tiger Force Ram Cycle to the original Ram Cycle that was offered with Breaker. And again, I want to make a special note to everybody out there that thanks to TGC Customs for providing Breaker's backpack. And I've mentioned it over on Instagram and on my Facebook page. TGC Customs, you know, Breaker didn't have a, but now that added touch. And we're also going to look at, again, the gun for Duke. Duke was another TGC Customs offering where it matches with the iconic weapons and accessories that came with these figures, and that's why I support TGC Customs. And a lot of people have also submitted orders with TGC Customs. And look at that, the Breaker looks so much better with the gun and his rifle backpack, and that just adds that extra little bit of a splash to kind of take this action figure to the next level. Before, he just looked like a regular generic army guy, but just that added, oh, that's Breaker, like, just that simple thing. And for like, I think $5 it costs, why not? So anyway, let's take Breaker off the saddle. And again, their carbon copy, they even use the same number. I think 1027 MG 1027 is the registry on both Ram motorcycles, and they continue that here. Same type of Gatling gun on the side, sidecar mounted. Dual exhaust. This is actually a nice bike. I would ride this one on the street as well. I'm not into crotch rockets, and I'm not into Harleys. I might piss off people, but I fucking hate Harleys. They're so loud, obnoxious, and then you see like these CEOs riding a Harley. It's not like, pretending that they're badasses, but I don't know. I'm just not a big Harley fan. I like, Triumph. I like Indian, but I am not a Harley guy. But this is a nice sport bike type of design. So it's not a crotch rocket. You could, it has like off-roading tread patterns on it too. You got your disc brakes, like I said, dual exhaust. I love this. I like motorcycles. I ride a, if you guys follow me, I ride a freaking 250cc scooter now that me and my wife like to cruise. It's a great Florida thing I don't have to worry about. But that is enough. I could get to 70 miles an hour on my little scooter. But when I was younger, I rode, and I think this is a nice bike to pick up, and I just like it. It looks beautifully done. They did a great job with this. And again, when you're in the 6-inch scale, you're really limited as far as vehicles are concerned, but very easy to assemble. You don't need a PhD in engineering to put it together, so that's what makes these wonderfully done. So that is the Tiger Force Ram motorcycle. Alrighty, so here is Tiger Force Duke out of the packaging with all of his contents. Pretty much, once again, a reissue of the original Duke offering. We have his weapon, backpack, side piece, binoculars, and of course Duke himself. And you'll see when we look at the original Duke, I mentioned this several times in previous episodes. I use the Sunbow laser rifle with my Duke, the one that's actually included that we see in his packaging. You'll see the picture on the corner. I like this, even though Duke did come with this gun. I think that it's primarily a stalker's weapon more so than Duke. So again, another call to TGC Customs to get that weapon to better represent the character. And we know from Duke really is a Sunbow. Like when I hear people say, "Oh, I love Duke," and I'm not not so much into Flint, whatever. I know that their fan base is based on the Sunbow series, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But in my case, Duke wasn't really prominently featured in the comics. He was more of a Sunbow guy. Alrighty, so now we have Duke out, and next to his original first version classified release. And like I said, look at the difference with the guns. I mean, just the laser rifle versus the stalker rifle. I think that just adds a little bit of a splash. So yes, I am definitely asking TGC Customs to send me another laser rifle to pair with Duke, because I think he looks best with that rifle. I think that's him and Snow Job. I think those are the two guys that even though everybody used it in the Sunbow cartoon. But those two characters on display need to, in my opinion, should be associated with that laser rifle, and it just looks good on them. But again, we see improvements. Actually, I like the fact that if you look at the shin guard right here, going with that black versus that shiny, you know, shin guard that's there, I like that a lot. It's funny how just a little bit of a color scheme change, just this Duke looks a lot better than the original one, in my opinion. I like it that much. I think I was going to pass this one up too. I was not going to get another Duke. But, it's like once you're there in the store and you see it on the shelf, you're like, I got to get it. So I'm glad I did. And once again, we're using Ian's Display Accessories figure stands, who has been a sponsor of this channel since the very beginning. So since 2015, I've been using Ian's display stands, and I think they're the best. They're just wonderful. The nice circumference. I know we did another look at another figure stand, the one with Outback. And while I like these, the fact that you get a little bit more circumference space, so there's less chance for it to tip over. These I'm finding even like these are very similar to this figure stands you get with the Baroness and Lady J in the retro classified releases. They're the same. They're the same diameter and width and everything. Ian's Displays is a better figure stand just because of a little bit more wider base, so it prevents figures from falling over. And I think I highly recommend them. Please check out the videos on them. But this figure is a home run. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I picked it up. There is just, they kind of, you see that blue thing for that comm that was associated with the video game. They did incorporate it, even though now the recent classifieds are getting away from that stupid blue thing, that comm that was kind of tied into the game, the G.I. Joe video game that came out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. That was a dud. I wish that game was a hit to get these, because that's how you're going to get kids into G.I. Joe, is make a kick-ass video game. Think they should do like a weapons simulators, like maybe flight simulators. I love them. So I wish that they did that. I know there's like a mobile game, but I hate playing mobile games. So I like the wired controller or nothing. Man, with this Duke figure looks really good, and I think this is actually improvement. Just a little subtle color change, and let's swap out and put the gun on him. Alrighty, so now we have Duke paired with his retro line figure, his original. I would say this is version 2. I don't know, but again, they did a pretty good job copying this and replicating. The side piece is a little bit lower. You see that it's more on the kind of like the lateral side of the thigh, where this one is a little bit higher up where the femur is. I'm doing a little anatomy and what the hell, And the pants, you got the tiger stripes, subtle. It's more prominent on the original one than that. And of course the olive, I think that's a nice color for the shirt. They got the red undershirt, collar shirt underneath. They did a good job incorporating that. I'm sure my man TGC Customs can give us some helmets too, just to that would look nice. I think in this case, I would like to get a helmet for a Duke. So I'm gonna definitely ask TGC to send over a helmet to properly match this. We are missing the knife. That is missing from Duke right there. But all in all, the binoculars being a pagan piece versus, I think that's a good improvement that they incorporated with this. This thing is a pain in the ass, the figure. So, and of course the backpack, same representation, very nice job they did on that. So hey, this, they did a really good job. I wish the hair color changed. That would be kind of been cool. Like, you know, he's blonde, but in this case, he, you know, Duke has the they got the brown hair. So they should have done that. That's a big miss right there. Because remember the reason for that is to differentiate from Hawk, because by 1987, you know, in 1986, I think Hawk's figure was released, and he was back. The Sunbow series, where, you know, people are like, "Oh, it's a new character." No, 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 no. Hawk was one of the original Joes. He was there in issue #1. So if you were strictly a Sunbow person, you had no idea who this other blonde-haired leader is. So in order to differentiate, they had to give Duke a, you know, he went and saw Just for Men, you know, so get the gray out, so he got the blonde out. So in his case, but I think they did a great job with this. This is a phenomenal, you know, for something that I was going to pass on, and I picked up, like I did talked about with the SnakeEyes figure. I'm glad I picked this one up. Now this looks pretty cool. Pairing Duke with the Breaker, you know, going out for a bike ride. That is pretty cool. So there's a lot of fun playtime you could incorporate with this. You could see Duke probably laying down the command and Breaker like passing it down, you know, drop some bombs in these coordinates or something like that, you know, for a tactical strike. That looks pretty cool. But again, if you wouldn't want to drive around in a yellow, orange, red motorcycle, you know, it's like you're sticking out with, like, shoot me. I'm here. I'm a moving target. Come and get me. But that is a great job. And see, like, the gun looks so much better than his regular gun. That gun. So order from TGC Customs and jump on board. And look at that. Breakers. I love Breaker's backpack. Like, out of all the accessories I picked up, I like that one the most, because that's Breaker now. Like, he's not just some generic army guy. That's one of the things I'm so happy TGC Customs made that and send it over, and I hope other people, Timber, can enjoy that. Let's put him back up. I'm not going to re-edit just for that fall. Shit happens, you guys know. Alrighty, so the next on show and tell is Bazooka. And Bazooka's artwork, I like it a lot, actually. That is definitely a comic, cartoony. I like that a lot. And the one thing that now, after watching, what was it, Resolute? Was that the movie? Is Bazooka dead? If you remember, spoiler alert, the first few frames into that movie that, you know, Japanese anime inspired, which I still think is the best G.I. Joe movie today, is that G.I. Joe Resolute. We saw Bazooka killed or assassinated by Storm Shadow, who had snuck onto the flag and detonated explosives. So that image of a lifeless bazooka is now what pops into mind. And this looks awesome. It looks like it's from Canton, Ohio, like in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, like one of those mosaics there that they have. And I've been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's so tiny, guys. Like, you think, like, from TV, it's this big museum. No, man, it's this tiny ass little place, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So definitely visit it if you love football. It's just so cool to see all of the NFL memorabilia from the inception of the league to where it is now. It's definitely a pilgrimage you should make. That and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Otherwise, you have no business visiting Cleveland. Sorry, Clevelanders. But the box art on this is phenomenal. I really do like it. There's not too many times I could say that, but this one is definitely a home run. And our good friend Hooded Cobra Commander would tell you what all of these signs mean, and I leave it up to him because he comes up with some funny ass shit. So let's open this guy up and see what he's in store. All right, so actually my mic died, so I'm going to do a voiceover for this. So here we have Bazooka out on display with all of his accessories. Again, this is a wonderful job, modern update of the Tiger Force Bazooka, which consists of the original Bazooka. We have his rockets there that, before with the original one were not removable from the backpack, obviously, because, this was the 80s. But now that's the good thing about these classified lines is you could, the cool thing I was showing right there is that you're actually able to open the back end and put in an artillery unit in there to, just for an added play feature. And I think that's a nice big bonus with these classified figures. The funny thing is a lot of people don't understand that the name Bazooka actually comes from a musical instrument that was popularized in the 1930s by a comedian named Bob Burns. And I just had to look in Wikipedia to see that. But the other thing is that the variants, like I've said a rocket launcher, it's more of what this weapon has evolved into. And then also another evolution is the Stinger missile. Basically firing from the foot soldier onto a bigger target, whether it be tanks or anti-aircraft. So a one-man wrecking crew basically is what is at the disposal for the soldier. Now here we have Bazooka displayed. I kind of like to have him with that launcher up, pointed up to the sky, because it's kind of minimizing space. Remember when it's down kind of like, by his side, it's sticking out a little bit. So you think about maximizing shelf space and how he's going to display. But the colors are nice and vibrant. Again, this is a wonderful modern update to this iconic character. I like how they've started to go in this direction and kind of push away from the video game crap that was when the first releases of the classified line. Now, what is astonishing is that these rocket launcher type weapons are still utilized today. I mean, we see them going on currently in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, where we supply the Ukrainians so many of these, and they're downing, Russian aircraft and tanks. It's amazing. And again, here we have my Tiger Force Bazooka next to each other. You could see just a wonderful update, wonderful job just recreating that wonderful look. And of course, my Bazooka has seen, you could see that white is no longer pristine white anymore, but I like that. I like comics and toys that I call it love. And I look for figures like that. They're not bad, but they had some love associated with it. I don't like pristine, crisp stuff because it just shows that, they weren't used properly, or they weren't, fully appreciated. And that's why I like my Tiger Force Bazooka so much. Again, I ditched the one that I got to find someone to create his launcher, but I used a Black Major, RPG, and I think that's a little bit better for this Bazooka as a fill-in in the as a placeholder. So I just never got around to doing, because I like this so much, and I think it's better suits the character than his OE figure, his accessory. So I think that it's a nice look to it. But again, I like the pants, I like the shirt. They did just such a great job with this figure, and I am so glad. There was only one fucking thing left, and I don't know how, but I scooped him up, and even I feel bad when I picked up the last thing of anything, but I always feel bad doing that. But again, I do it so other people can enjoy it and appreciate it, versus getting in the hands of some scalper or something like that. I hope I didn't miss on Recondo, because that's the Tiger Force figure I'm really looking forward to. And I just can't wait to have him. So this Tiger Force line is actually really good. I'm really impressed with it. I think, the three figures that I got in this line are really well done. They're just beautiful additions to the classified series. And I just can't believe initially I was so against this, saying that this is the Star Wars Black Series line. How could they do this? I'm a 3 3/4 inch guy through and through. but I'm a convert. I really think that these are starting to. I really enjoy collecting these, and again, like I'm pointing out, that the rockets are removable from the backpack, which is a nice added feature. And I don't see anything they need to do to upgrade this figure. I might paint the rocket heads black, just to give it a little splash there. I think that would look nice. But here we go. We got the two classifieds with their classified Tiger Force with their original incarnations. And I think, again, just wonderful job. The Duke was a miss with the hair. That's the only thing I have to say about Duke. They should have put the brown hair on Duke. And I think that would have made better sense than keeping with the blonde hair. But I would have loved to see that. And again, I'm going to have to ask TGC Customs to create a helmet. And here we have the two factions squaring off, Python Patrol versus Tiger Force. And that's how it was meant to be. In the remember, the Tiger Force and Python Patrol kind of started during the Deke animated series. So I remember there was an episode where they were Pythonizing weapons, where Cobra Commander, who in the show, where it was Fred 7 in the comic books, kind of started showing how they did that. And of course, the Deke version was completely bonkers versus what transpired in the comics, which was a little bit more practical and made sense. But watch that Deke episode, even though it's tough to watch Deke episodes, but still, that was a funny one to watch. How Pythonizing transpired, the technology that they utilize in that. But again, this is just wonderful, and I'm really glad to add. And I've noticed people posting, and that's good. So I think I'm pointing out the figure stands here. I remember that. I'm talking about how the Ian's display stands with Bazooka is much better than the other figure stands, the one I'm showing, because of the fact that they could topple over. And I've had that incident happen. I didn't mention that when I did the review of these type of figure stands a month ago, but now that I've lived with them for a while, Ian's is the best. Just because of that wider base, your figures are less likely to top over, especially when they're characters like Bazooka and Gung Ho or Roadblock that have a lot of accessories that are kind of make them a little bit top heavy. So that's something to consider, and why I think Ian's is a great. And I've been dealing with Ian since the beginning of this channel. He lives in a couple towns down from me, and he's one of the preferred vendors for Star Wars, and he has a place on the floor during celebration. So that tells you that even the Kenner Star Wars official recognizes him as being a preferred vendor for accessories for them. So that's why I'm just not blowing smoke and selling you a box full of shit. I'm telling you, you're going with the best with Ian's display accessories. And that's what I do, is I see what works for me. And I'm not going to keep it all to myself. I want other people to be able to enjoy it and have use from it. And plus, I support the little guy, the fellow Americans that have small businesses and try to do something. It's not about making money. It's about enhancing your fandom and helping out your fellow fans. I mean, they could spend the time creating these things, making these things, and just for us to enjoy. So that's why I promote such endeavors. And I do that with the graded comics. EGS, PGX are smaller grading companies. They're not the big grading companies like CGC. And, they have more at stake. So basically, with that said, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for watching. We're going to go back into the comics in the next episode or two. Thank you for enjoying this toy review. This is Shabu RU signing off. And stay warm.